Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Astrology Now with astrologer Babula Clement and myself, Cheryl Gotchell. So, hi, Babula, how are you doing? How are you holding on through the Aquarian age?
Well, it's already making its presence felt very much, but actually lately and currently I'm quite enjoying it.
Oh,
I'm
good.
in Yeah, I'm enjoying. I think since Pluto went into Aquarius, I've been feeling a kind of uplift of energy.
Yeah, I actually feel that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It
It's,
doesn't feel as heavy as it
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah, much lighter and exploring all the subjects that I'm very interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was looking through a book the other day. And there's just a little excerpt from a book called Selected Highland Tales by R. MacDonald Robertson. If anyone happens to have it, you might be able to look it up. But the little excerpt goes, "How will you go back?" said the woman. "Nay, that I do not know, because I have heard that for those who enter fairyland, there is no going back. They must go on and go through it." And I thought, wow, that's very, that's right where we are at the moment, like it sort of is fairyland in a strange way, but in not, in a convoluted and confounding way, but certainly a strange time and something I'm feeling that I actually have to get a little bit used to.
Yes, we are in a strange time, aren't we? And there's so much moving and changing so quickly. It's hard to know what's real and what's not at different times. And
Yeah.
yeah, such an incredible time of transition, and transitions can feel at times like a bit of a no man's land, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and that idea of not really knowing what's real and what's not, it's like reality challenged. And I was just having a conversation about this yesterday with someone about with all the AI generated images, and we really are going through a time where a new reality is waiting to be born, where we can actually discern and see the authentic, true reality of what's going on in so many levels on our planet.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a big thing, isn't it? I think, humanity's been living under this veil of illusion and fantasy, like literally in a dream world.
Yeah, yeah,
And the Indian mystics and many of the great past mystics have spoken of this, haven't they? That's what wake up means, isn't it? Wake up out of our sleep. We've been in this sleep state, like drugged, hallucinating,
just going to
but
say that. Mm,
believing that this reality is real, and we're finding out that so much of it actually isn't true.
yes, and it just reminds me of when I'm working with clients who are having hypnosis sessions with me, when they are coming out of it. It's like they've been in the hypnotic state for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, maybe sometimes an hour or two, depending on what we're doing.
Yeah.
And they come out of it really slowly. And sometimes I have to talk them out of it a few times because it's like they're hibernating inside away from the world. It's a nice
Yes.
place in there, but it's time to come out and it's time to get on with it. And we've sort of been, we were captured by the restrictions and everything that's been going on over the last 4 years, but we're coming out of that and
Yes.
we're thawing out. And and there's a process in between one state and another, and I really have a strong sense of being in that at the moment.
Very much. And the change is happening on so many levels, isn't it? Some of it's very subtle and energetic, and certain people will feel that more acutely than others. It's also tangible. It's evident in the way dramas are playing out in the world and so on. It's an extraordinary time. I've just been at an astrology weekend when I was speaking there, and there's lots of interesting conversations amongst people, around all of these issues. We're all in it in our own particular version and experience of it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Palpable. You can feel it, you can touch
yeah,
it, you can taste
yeah,
it. That's it. It's like,
yeah.
And really feeling it strongly coming into the new moon in Aquarius, particularly.
Yes, I must say it's quite a, I'll use a very Australian term, it's quite a ripper.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's a very, very interesting new moon. In fact, the whole of February, particularly from, well, all around the new moon and right through to the end of February, is very interesting. It's very Aquarian, very Uranian, dominated by those energies. And of course, the new moon, which we'll get into and unpack a bit, it also marks the change of the Chinese New Year. So there's a
Mm.
whole energetic change on that level as well, from the sweet bunny rabbit to the dragon.
I know, I know.
Yes. So, and yeah, it's a very potent time right now.
It actually feels like, because I know the Aquarian energy is really a lot about new things,
Mm,
new thought, new inventions, new discoveries, and anything new,
mm.
right? So it's about the new age, uh,
Yes.
which is about the old age, but in a new form. And it's about reinventing things.
Yeah. And
And
and it's a new consciousness or a more elevated consciousness. And when that happens, we see things in a new way, don't we?
we do, yeah, our perspective
Yeah.
changes, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, interesting times. And before, we've been through a chaotic time, but out of chaos always comes a new order.
Yes. It
Always.
does. It does. One of my favorite old quotes is something like, out of the chaos, great stars are born. I love that.
Yeah, it's true.
Because we've all been through different times of turmoil and upheaval in our lives, in our personal lives, and so on. But something new and often so much better and more evolved for us personally emerges out of that. But the chaotic phase can be quite challenging and intense.
Mm.
Mm.
I was thinking the other day too that it's a bit like there's been people who've walked across Niagara Falls on a tightrope and lived. And I'm thinking about Pluto and Aquarius now, right? It's challenging and it's something different, but they did it and they got through it and they faced their fears about death and they overcame them. And I think that the way to, they put everything in its proper place at the right time, which required a good panoramic perspective. And I think that the way to deal with Pluto is sort of to remain going through Aquarius, is to remain calm in the eye of the tornado. And that requires concentration and clarity about what we're doing and who we're
Yeah,
being.
yeah, and great presence. That's right. Yeah, and somehow a faith on in getting to the other side. And we're changed, aren't we, by those experiences? So someone walking across a tightrope across those falls will be quite transformed when they land on the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I know you were going to get on to new moon in Aquarius, but just
No,
pop
that's all right.
into
Yeah, no, we could talk for hours. There's so much to talk about and so much going on and so many different angles, to approach it from and to look at.
yeah. And
Mm.
well, life is always like that, but I feel like when you look back on how things have been over decades, they were, I guess, a little bit more ordered than they are now. Put it that way, I feel like everything's up for grabs.
Yeah, well, I think we were still living in a reality that we were born into, even though there were a lot of changes that occurred along the way. And some of us were, more inclined to want to break out of that than others, let's
Mm.
say.
Mm.
But yeah, it was still operating in a certain way, wasn't it? It still
Yeah.
had a certain structure that was familiar to us.
Yes.
That's all gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nothing like that anymore, and it won't be again. We won't be going back to any of that.
Yeah.
So
And
we're in very new territory.
yeah, and people say things to me like XYZ, and I go, well, is it? Is that true?
Yes.
It's like just challenging anything now. It's like, and not in a negative way, just going, well, why would you say that? Well, what if it's not like that? Like my mind is sort of more open to new ways of
Exactly.
thinking.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. And that question, well, have you considered the possibility that maybe that's not true?
Yeah,
And what would that be like if it wasn't true?
yeah.
Those questions are great. And we all have to, I agree, we all have to keep our mind open because there's so much we actually don't know. We might think we do, but there's so much we really don't.
Mm. And
Yeah.
this new moon in Aquarius might help us with our independent thinking as well.
Yes, and it's such an energy, I think, also of revelation, things being exposed and cracked open, which is very thrilling, actually.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, people who in their own horoscope or natal chart, who have quite a bit of strong Aquarius Uranus energy anyway, will feel this as less daunting and actually a bit exciting.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
feeling it.
me too. I feel that it's liberating. It's exciting. It's like, oh, finally,
Yes.
can we begin to move forward now and out of this, old paradigm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Roller coaster. We're on it. But I do also absolutely acknowledge it's for many, and at certain times it can be extremely challenging.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And I know some people who've been through some big challenges,
Yes.
still going through them. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm.
So we'll kick us off then.
All
What are
right.
it's doing?
Okay. So the month of February, I mean, every time this year, of course, it is an Aquarian time. The sun goes through Aquarius during this time. And it's always, for example, it's always a very busy time for astrologers. Because it's the start of the year and many people want their updated chart reading, what's 24 look like for me. But it's the Aquarian astrology vibe is strong at this time of year. But this year we've got a whole gang of planets moving through Aquarius. So as we know, the great lord of the underworld, Pluto, left Capricorn um, and moved into Aquarius. And that was a tremendous change of energy. On the 5th of February, Mercury, the planet that represents our mind, our thinking, the way we think, the words we use, the way we communicate and speak, um, moved into Aquarius on the 5th of February and joined with Pluto at 0 of Aquarius. So Mercury will now be in Aquarius for 3 weeks. Mercury does very well in Aquarius because Aquarius is an air sign of the mind. And
Mm.
Mercury is of the mind. And people born with Mercury in Aquarius, they've often got this like super intelligence. You could also call it, in many cases, not in all necessarily, a signature of the genius.
Yeah.
Like mind is just plugged in and wired up to the cosmos, to the higher mind, you could say. So
Yeah.
Mercury happily now in Aquarius, and I'll just quickly run through on the 13th of February, Mars, the warrior energy, has been in Capricorn for 5-6 weeks, also will move into Aquarius. And as he does so, he'll meet Pluto sitting at 0. So that's a really potent combination. And then on the 17th, Venus will go into Aquarius and join Pluto. So we're in this period where these fast-moving inner planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all together in the sign of Aquarius. And then on the new moon on the 10th, of course, the moon comes in and she'll spend 2.5 days moving through the sign, hanging out with all those other guys. So it's big. And it's Aquarius it's an energy, and for those who are familiar with it, you'll know what I mean. It has a vibe all of its own. Even the symbol for the sign is 2 wavy lines.
Yeah. Electric.
It's electric.
Mm.
It's electric, and it's all energy moving, electric energy, and it's so sort of operating on another level of mental energy altogether.
Mm,
It's,
mm,
we have to use words like, cosmic,
mm.
far-seeing, very expanded mind.
Yes, it's certainly a big picture or a big energy, big ideas, big, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
big expanded view and perspective.
yeah. And I was just having a pre-chat to you before about what I did on the 5th of February, which was yesterday because we're recording on the 6th.
Mm.
Was I spent 6 hours answering questions for three documentaries about extraterrestrial contact and the astral realms, near-death experiences, um, all that sort of information. It was very, and the questions were big, and the answers I could just like my brain was going. Each question was like wow, like an atomic, atomic cloud, and I had to then gather all those resources, all that information. It's a big ideas project that I was involved with, and yeah, and Mercury, they're joining. It was 6 hours of talking, but thinking and bringing it all together. It's cosmic.
Incredible. That's
Yeah,
right.
but it was amazing that it happened to be on that day.
It's incredible, isn't it? And who planned that? Nobody really.
No, well, the person, I didn't even think about it at the time when she said,
No,
this date. I said, yeah, I can do that.
exactly. You just check your diary and that works.
Yeah, and then I checked the planets and I went, oh my God.
Exactly. It happens so often. It happens that way. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm,
So yeah, so we're kind of you could say that we're now energetically with Mercury in Aquarius joining Pluto and the sun's in Aquarius, kind of plugged into the cosmic mind. We're plugging into this big consciousness that's expanding our view of ourselves, of our personal world, of the world we live in. I mean, there's so much going on out there in the world, and it's all moving so fast.
mm,
Everything's moving so fast.
mm,
And I'm listening to some really interesting conversations, certain people I follow. I'm sure everybody is according to what their interests are.
mm,
And our minds are literally I'm experiencing this really strongly. Like I feel like my mind and my consciousness and the way I've thought about things is just continuing to just, wow, okay, I didn't see that before. I didn't
mm.
see it in that way before, or it's a whole other level of reality that I'm now being exposed to, but I'm up for it,
Yes, yes. I,
right?
I get you. I get you. I'm going through the same thing. And
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to explore that. I want to know what
Yes.
that's about. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And always um to be aware when there's a lot of Aquarian energy happening is we can get so lost in the mind, and in all of that we can just kind of lose the plot a bit. So the counterbalance, of course, is always, feet on the earth, wash the dishes, hang out the washing, to balance it with all that kind of real mundane earthly stuff while the mind is just going out into the cosmos.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. So that's on the 5th. On the 8th, and you see the planet Uranus is very active as well during this period. Uranus is the planet that we say rules the sign of Aquarius.
that's right.
And when Uranus was discovered in the 1700s, the world changed virtually overnight. So Uranus represents energy that breaks out of tradition, breaks the rules. It's the maverick, the outsider, the rebel, the connects us to higher mind, to new ways of thinking.
Mm,
And so Uranus is, making his way slowly through Taurus. Next year, he's going to actually start to change sign and move into Gemini. We'll have a lot to say about that next year. So on the 8th of February, Venus, still in Capricorn, will make a trine that is an alignment with Uranus in Taurus. And the sun in Aquarius will make a square to Uranus. So those who know astrology will go, okay, they've got that picture. But for those who don't worry too much about what that is. But it's just a sort of, it's another piece of Uranus is very active right now. And while it's still in the earth energy there, it's impacting us in this very earthly domain.
Mm.
But all through the month, there's a lot of activations of the planet Uranus, which is now moving direct. All the planets are now moving direct. Things are moving fast.
Mm.
Um,
I always think of Uranus as the restless disturber.
yes,
No, it's never still, always doing, always up to something, always cracking through something, breaking things.
exactly. Exactly. The great disruptor.
Yes, yeah,
Absolutely. Is the agent of disruption and change, but also the great awakener.
yes,
We don't
yeah,
wake up if things stay the same all the time.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're cracked open, and sometimes that's uncomfortable and unpleasant and shocking, even.
Mm.
But at some point, we realize it's become really liberating.
Well, a good example is how people are being dehypnotized from the mainstream narrative of all sorts of things, politically, health-wise, anything really.
That's right.
It's just breaking through that, and people who I knew for a long time thought a particular way, they're changing their mind about things.
Yes.
People are going, oh, I didn't know that, like, oh,
And sometimes that can be a shock,
yeah.
which
Mm.
can be quite just destabilizing for a period of time until they're able to integrate it and process it.
Yes, like pulling the wool off your eyes and you're blinded by the light, like, well, here's the light.
Exactly.
But whoa, wait too much too soon,
That's right. That's right. It's a lot to process and digest.
Mm,
And it's big. It's always going to be big.
mm,
So then on the 10th of February, we have the new moon. So, this current lunar cycle that we're in, which started back in Capricorn, will complete and we begin a new lunar cycle at 20 degrees and 40 minutes of Aquarius. But not only is it an Aquarian new moon,
mm.
the sun and the moon are conjunct, it's an almost exact square to Uranus, the ruling planet of. So I was going to say it's a double dose. It's more like a quadruple dose. It's really a strong new moon that we could use words like shock waves. If you look at the symbol for Aquarius, they're also like waves of shock, aren't they?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
seismic, I think, is a great word. And
Mm,
that can literally show up around the planet as quite a lot of seismic activity in the earth and wild weather patterns. I mean, we're having pretty wild weather anyway, but around this new moon, there could be a lot of big, big events um, in the earth, whether politically, economically, socially, in people's personal lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, on a personal level, I think because remember Uranus, well, it's very futuristic as well as Aquarius, so I think there's, for individually, some people are going to feel a huge pull to break free from the past and want to re-identify them. Oh, sorry, reinvent themselves.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
in ways that maybe they didn't think that they might ever do.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think those moments in life we just go, oh God, I can't keep doing this thing. Whether it's a job or a relationship or even a way of thinking, it's just it just becomes old and stuck and stale and it just doesn't feel like me anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And
Mm.
it's, I mean, we can use terms like, we're breaking out of the matrix and reinventing or discovering a whole new part of ourselves that perhaps been repressed or put aside, might have been there since childhood, but we went down a more traditional conservative
Mm.
path that may not have been a bad path for you, but and suddenly it's like, no, I can't keep doing this anymore.
Mm.
And that new moon, I've had a few experiences like this in my life. That new moon for some individuals could be literally a moment of such clarity where a choice is made, almost like a choiceless choice. You say, that's it, I'm done.
Mm.
And you hand in your letter of resignation. It's been building up, but that could be the moment.
Yeah.
Or you walk out of a relationship situation or whatever it might. For some, this could be that kind of moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And everything's changed from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, watch this space. Like just we'll see it around us. We'll see it around us in our personal life with family, friends. We'll see it on the world stage. We'll see it geopolitically. I mean, everything's already in great turmoil and upheaval, but this is a bit of an acceleration.
Mm. I think you're right. I think it's a ripper.
It's a ripper. It is a ripper. Yeah.
Great.
And you know, I know many people, ourselves included, have taken certain practical steps, just simple things to make sure, like even if it's a thing like a wild storm and your house has no power for 2 or 3 days. Are you prepared for that?
Mm. Mm.
You know, I have friends who were impacted, quite a few friends who were impacted by what's happened over Christmas, you know, on Tambourine and the Gold Coast, and
Mm. Yeah.
shared their stories. And some were quite well prepared, some weren't, but they've made sure they will be for any future events like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's made me think, okay, there's 1 or 2 things more I need to do now.
Yes.
So it's that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that those things will happen necessarily, but we're living in such a time where it feels like anything could happen.
Yes, I agree with that. I've had quite a few conversations about that with people. Yeah.
Yes. And just to have some preparations in place on a practical level, to me, is just makes practical sense.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think over the last few years, when there's been shortages of supplies,
Yeah.
that people should have learned, and they probably have, a lot of them have learned to keep extra supplies in the house. And I'm not talking about just an extra packet of this and that. I'm talking about a lot of supplies,
That's right.
because
That's
some of
right.
these things you may not get for months.
That's right. I mean, remember in 2020, all the insanity that went on over toilet paper. Well, if
Gosh,
people haven't figured out now that maybe it's a good idea to have some extra stashed in the cupboard, then I'm like, okay,
that was insane.
see stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, yeah, funny. So then so is there anything else I want to say about that? So I actually printed out just as a sort of a general image to sort of, I like visuals kind of have they speak to us in a different way. So throughout
Mm.
February,
Wow.
these are all the planets. Now, this is where they are on a particular day, but this is all the planets moving through Aquarius. This is the day when Venus goes into Aquarius. They're on the 17th. And
Mhm.
so Venus has just gone in. She's sitting next to Pluto. There's Mars moved on a couple of degrees. There's Mercury and there's the Sun. In astrology, we call that a stellium. Some people are born with a gathering of 3 or 4 or more planets all bunched together in one sign. That's a power-packed combination in any sign. And it's just all these different energies represented by the different planets all taking up. It's like having a meeting in your home, and all the people at the meeting are bringing a different energy and a different agenda and a different mode of operation. And they're all in there trying to kind of work together. It's a bit like that. It's full on, but it's Aquarius. So there's a lot happening in that Aquarius space. And one by one, as they move through, they're all making these squares to Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. These
Mm.
red lines represent squares in astrology, and squares are always between signs, always aspects of, there's a bit of a tension going on here. Like these energies don't agree.
Yes. Mm.
But there's Aquarius all up in this, conscious mind of the future and what's possible for the betterment of humanity and the world and the universe, right? Yay.
And someone says, no, thank you.
And there's Taurus going, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. Where's your proof? And I'm here just, working and taking care of my practical needs. It's very earthy and very pragmatic and very sensible. You wouldn't call Aquarius sensible on that pragmatic level.
Yeah,
Extremely idealistic and visionary.
yeah. Mm.
So squares work like that. They're kind of pushing against each other, but sooner or later, it's like something gives because they have to acknowledge each other.
So which are the strongest planets out of those? Out of that argument, which ones do you think are going to win?
Well, that's a great question. So the outer planets, always planets of tremendous power, like they move very slowly. They have huge impact. We often refer to them as planets of evolutionary forces.
Mm.
And the faster moving inner planets we experience on a more immediate personal level.
Mm.
So in Aquarius, Pluto's the guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's the big agent of transformation. Down here in Taurus, Uranus is you could say, the stronger influence because it's more of a slow moving evolutionary influence.
Mm.
But they all have their say and they all have their purpose and they all have their intention. So, how can those two signs resolve themselves in this tension of those squares? I think it's about, okay, there's the vision. We can see what's possible. We're going to, if we go right out there, we're going to communicate with our brothers and sisters in the universe. And how do we make that real in this practical level down here on earth in my daily life and, with my finances and my job and the kids and,
Absolutely.
how is all that going to work together?
Absolutely. That's a big question that I've been asking for years.
Exactly. And the other thing, of course, is that Taurus is very much, you could say, bound to the earth plane. I mean, there are other levels of it, of course, but it is essentially, I think that also points to seismic energies moving on the earth plane.
Yeah, because Taurus doesn't want to change, so it just has to be
No,
blown up.
that's right. And that's been Uranus's mighty job while it's been going through, since about 2018. It's like, okay, hang on, Taurus, here
Yeah,
we go. Things are going to change whether you like it or not.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Let's just blow up your life.
That's right. I mean, even in the most simplest levels, I know someone really well, a very old friend who's Taurian, and always would holiday at exactly the same place. And that's very a kind of a normal common thing with Taurus. They love the familiar. I know what to expect. I love it there. It's my favorite place. Why would I not want to go back there every year for my holiday?
Yeah,
Same location, same unit, and is completely relaxed. As Uranus moved into Taurus, that place got sold and then knocked down. It's gone.
yeah.
You see, and I thought, isn't it amazing?
Mm.
It's such a beautiful image and metaphor. And
Yeah.
it's no longer, and she's having to find something new and different. Yeah.
Tentatively.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Maybe I should say tenuously.
Yeah, it was quite a shock,
Mm.
but yeah, she's adapted to it and is kind of, and we're all different. Whereas I love to explore new places all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
We're just all different in that way.
Mm. Mm.
So, all right, let's see. I can see we could talk about all this for hours, Cheryl.
Well, we can. Just turn up
um,
the volume, people, while you're driving along and listen.
yeah, so if you're at home, make a cup of tea or something. On the 13th of February, Mars, the warrior principle, exits Capricorn, where he will have been for 6 weeks, really working very hard, at structures and work and focus and discipline and all of that. Mars in Capricorn is very strong. Moves into Aquarius. And the image I always have of Mars in Aquarius, how does the warrior operate in Aquarius? He's a freedom fighter. He's
Mm.
a rebel. He says, yeah, I'm not taking this anymore.
Yeah.
And he's, galvanizing people to get out in the streets. Well, that's already happening, but I think that's going to be really on.
Mm. Mm.
It's because Mars is an energy that always wants to take action.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking in Aquarius, I'm just thinking of the me versus we situation with it too.
Mm.
It's sort of like, well, um, I can't fight my battles alone. I need the collective. Thank you.
Need the group. The power is in the numbers. That's right.
Mm.
I was just having a thought as you were saying that about, I don't know if everyone's aware of this because it may not be in mainstream news, but the big movements that are happening in many European countries now with the farmers who just
Yeah.
had a gutful.
Yeah.
And they're out in mass with their huge tractors and combine harvesters and, all sorts of other huge vehicles are joining them and they're dumping. I mean, it's so Uranus in Taurus, like the rebellion is real. It's on the ground, the farmers, Taurus, and they're literally dumping huge mounds of hay bale and
Liquid poop.
thank you. I was just trying to find an appropriate word, excrement. I know that,
I can be
just
appropriate anytime, you know that.
oh, I know you do, but we're in a kind of a public space here. So I was being a little careful.
But I've seen them. It's amazing. I'm thinking, what are they
It's
doing that?
amazing. It's amazing. And that's very Uranus in Taurus as well, very on the ground. Like it's the farmers, the salt of the earth, the farmers. That's so Taurus.
Yeah, it's like drawing the line. Sorry,
Yeah.
this isn't going to happen anymore.
You see,
Mm,
just a brief personal story because it
mm,
demonstrates this as well. My father was a Taurian, and one of the big parts of his life was he was a farmer. He did lots of things, but farmer, the land, the ground, and he had Mars in Aquarius.
mm,
He used to fight City Hall all the time. He said they can't get away with that,
mm,
and he'd go to battle, you
mm,
know, in the courts, and he'd often win because they were passing, things that were directly affecting his land and property and ability to function and do his thing. So that's a very Mars and Aquarius thing. And so watch this space, folks. Things are going to heat up.
mm. It's a bit of a flip situation to what we've been through over the last few years, where we were told by the people at the top that we're all in this together. But now the ground crew are saying, hey, you guys up there, listen, we're all in this together.
Yes,
It's a real turnaround, and they're saying
exactly. Yeah.
basically, you wake up now. We are all in this together.
That's right. And the power is it always has been with the people in numbers.
Mm,
It always has been. We've been so conned into believing that we don't have any power. I mean, many of us have known that was true, but it's a collective awakening that's
mm.
happened and is happening. So it's pretty powerful. So on that 13th and 14th of February, as Mars enters Aquarius and goes to that 0 degrees, it will join with Pluto. That is one of the most potent combinations of planets you can get when Mars makes a strong alignment with Pluto, and especially a conjunction means they literally join together.
Mm.
Wow, like watch out because that is very explosive, very, very potent. It can be both in a negative, destructive way,
Mm.
in a very atomic way, shall I say, but it can also be a moment for many people where they just go, that's it, I'm done, no more. And this power rises up.
Did you say that was on the 13th or the 14th?
The 13th and 14th. So Mars actually enters Aquarius later on the day on the 13th, and by the morning,
Mm.
the next day, it makes the exact conjunction with Pluto, which is now at 0 degrees and 46. So
So
those 2 days, yeah.
it could be a Valentine's Day with fireworks. Honestly, it could.
I forgot about that. So,
Yes.
so even that whole week, then, Mars will actually be traveling with Pluto, and
Mm.
but its entrance into Aquarius is like a trigger point, the ignition of something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then Mars will move through Aquarius for 6 weeks.
It's a tremendous energy to fuel conflict.
Yes,
Or to align our actions with what is in the best interest of all.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And for, and it will show up for everyone differently, of course, because it depends where Aquarius is in your chart. What house, those who know their chart, is it the sixth house of your daily work, your employment, your health? Is it in the second house related to finances, the fourth house related to home and family, or in the 12th house to do with your inner soul life? It will really be different for everybody. And do you have planets in Aquarius that'll get activated during this time? So no one's going to experience it in the same way, but we're talking about these collective.
Yeah.
This is what's in the air. This is what's in the atmosphere. Yeah. And then on the 17th, Venus, the feminine principle, whose function, if you like, is to bring in the feminine qualities of, how do we do this in a harmonious way, in a loving way? How do we come together with like-minded people for a common cause, but bring heart to it?
Yeah, it's like embracing the group, the collective, the
That's right.
love of that. Yeah.
That's right. And so Venus will be moving through Aquarius for 3 to 4 weeks. And, Venus in Aquarius, she loves to get together with her friends or to share, might be doing, a course of study or something on astrology or something like that. And you enjoy the group dynamic. There's enjoyment. Venus is always about, oh, I love it. What we love, I love and enjoy when we all get together and talk about these things. Venus and Aquarius.
Yeah, even though we're all different.
Even though we're all different.
And we love our differences. We love what each person brings to the table.
That's right. And there might be a common thread that brings everyone together, whether that's about, freedom and justice or astrology or discussing, crystals or whatever it is. There's a common thread, but everyone's different and unique.
Yeah, it's a bit like a potluck lunch, isn't it? Everyone brings something to the dinner, to the lunch, and it's all different and from different cultures, different
That's
styles,
right.
different tastes. Yeah.
Eclectic. And even one of my favorite words for Aquarius is eccentric.
Yes.
We can all be eccentric. And you see, Venus in Aquarius enjoys it. Mars in Aquarius might be more inclined, like, I'm going to fight for my right to be myself. Whereas Venus is, oh, let's all enjoy this together. This is fun. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking of that character in I Dream of Jeannie, who was Jeannie's mother. What was her?
Pandora.
And yes. And
Wasn't she fabulous?
very eccentric type, very Aquarian. That's what I think of when I think of eccentric type.
Do again, a little personal aside, I was having a conversation with a very old friend over the weekend about my family and my mother's family and my grandmother. And I was commenting, the story was about something, but I was commenting that she was really eccentric. And as I'm driving home, I went, of course, she would have Aquarius rising, because I have a date of birth in the chart, but I don't know the time. And I went, because it's in that family line, that Aquarius energy. And I went, she's got no planets in Aquarius. And it just clicked into place. Everything I knew about her was, of course she has Aquarius, because she's very eccentric.
Yes.
Very odd.
Yes.
But I like that, You can't put them in a box. They don't fit the mold.
Yeah, really interesting, because my auntie's an Aquarius too. And I have these memories of visiting, I'd go and stay at her place on weekends to spend some time with my cousin, because we're both only children. And I've got these memories of her walking around the house singing opera. She had a fantastic voice, dressed in purple and making shortbread over here at the same time. Like, she was just really, really fun and unusual.
Out there.
Yeah.
Yes, and unusual, and not like, they don't fit the picture of this particular grandmother was not at all what you would think of as a grandmother. She wasn't a grandmotherly figure.
Yes.
She was so interesting.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Right. So yeah, yeah, it's fascinating how those kind of insights can just drop in, those realizations. It's one of the things I love about astrology. Something just clicks.
Mm, mm,
So so yeah, on the 17th, Venus will enter Aquarius and join Pluto. So that for some people could be some really intense experiences also for a few days around relationship dynamics. There might be some things might break for some people, whether it's with a friend or a partner or a sister. You know, Venus is often to do with female people in our life. It can be sisters, girlfriends, and so on.
mm,
Or if you're in a group, there might be some powerful experience, not necessarily destructive, but it might be a really powerful experience in the group.
mm.
Someone's going through something and they share it, and it really deeply affects the group dynamic or something. You know, they're the kind of and also on the same day as Venus goes into Aquarius and joins Pluto, Mercury in Aquarius will square Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. So see, as I was noting all of these things down, I'm going, my God, there's just so much Aquarius, Uranus energy everywhere we look.
Yeah, yeah. Loving it.
Loving it. I know it's exciting, it's uplifting, it's liberating.
Mm.
It's full on as well. Like things can happen really suddenly that throw a spanner in the works, but you know, it's that thing of learning to ride the waves, just go with it all.
Well, it is an air sign, so it's, it's just blowing things around willy-nilly,
That's right.
Yeah. Mm.
I've often had that image of Aquarius, like when someone's having a strong Uranus transit, it's time to open up all the doors and windows of your house and let the fresh air blow through. The winds of change are going to blow through. And Aquarians love fresh air.
Oh, hands up, me. I have to have all the windows open, the fan on. Cool would be nice, but I have to have a breeze. I love the feeling of breeze on my body.
That's right. And that's that symbol again. It's
Yeah.
airflow, isn't it?
Mm.
Like I actually have some Aquarian clients, and even in winter, they often the heating can be on, but they want the doors open or the
Yeah,
windows
yeah.
open.
Yep, yep.
Fresh air.
Yeah. I
They
have
feel like they can't breathe.
Yes, I have my memories of myself as a child with my head stuck out the window, like the dogs you see going past in the cars, and the hairs flying behind me. My face was always getting the full force of the breeze.
That's it. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So it's very real, and it's also a wonderful metaphor. You know, fresh air, new energy
Mm,
blowing through the winds of change. Bob Dylan, the times they are changing.
mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm,
really. And it's an acceleration during this period. Things going to move fast.
mm,
Okay. Then things start to change because on the 19th of February, there's still a lot going on in Aquarius, but
mm,
the sun will leave Aquarius and move into the waters of Pisces.
mm.
So there's this energetic shift that begins to happen. And on the 23rd, Mercury will go into Pisces as well.
I,
So
I
go
was going
on.
to say before you go into that, isn't the North Node conjunct Chiron in Aries around that the day before or something?
On the 20th.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm ahead of you.
No, you're absolutely correct. And so let's talk about that because yeah, I just did a talk on the weekend at this astrology group on Chiron in Aries. So
Mm,
Chiron's in Aries for 9 years. We're sort of halfway through that now. And Chiron in Aries has got a lot to do with the wounded masculine principle and all the different things that that might mean or represent for us individually and collectively. It will make, I mean, it's conjunct the North Node all through February, but it becomes exact. The degree becomes exact at 16 degrees and 45 minutes of Aries on the 20th of February. So we're absolutely in it now. And the North Node is always a point of evolutionary direction forward.
mm,
And it's in Aries, which is a very pointed sign, you know, with a strong sense of direction. It's a very yang fire energy.
mm.
Um, Again, we could have a half-hour conversation about that. But
Yeah, okay. I'll
I'll
keep on.
try, oh, I'll try and just give a few pointers. I mean, I think that's going to really highlight acutely some of the issues associated with woundedness to do with the sign of Aries. Now, on a physical level, illnesses to do with Aries are always to do with the head, the brain, the eyes, the blood, our vitality and life force, our muscles. You know, like Aries has a lot of vitality.
Mm,
And in the body, it governs the head and the brain,
mm,
particularly. Um, so the issues like that could come to the fore or to a head for some people during this period. Um, it's also to do with the warrior energy and courage and bravery, and whether we feel disempowered or fearful around taking leadership or speaking out or defending ourselves or standing up to someone who maybe is very sort of dominating us. You know, it can be a real turning point for some people, and we find courage in us that we didn't think we had, and we just say, no, I'm done, I'm not doing that anymore, or no, I'm not taking that from you anymore. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm. Do
courage.
you think
Yeah,
that because of the North Node there that people like this is about rewriting our destiny?
yes,
You know, this is about turning a corner,
it is.
going in a different direction, following a different signpost and saying, I can see where I'm going to go if I keep on doing that. No, I need to do.
That's right.
Mm.
And the South Node, of course, is in the opposite sign of Libra, and the tendency in Libra, particularly with the South Node, is to always try and keep the peace and please everybody and make sure everybody's happy
Mm,
at the expense, perhaps, of what the individual really needs and wants.
mm,
So that's a part of the process, this whole 18 months while the North Node's going through Aries. But now that it's joining with Chiron, it can really highlight the wound around that. And as I said, the wound can be physical in the body. The illnesses associated with Aries are usually things that end in itis,
yeah.
infections and inflammation.
Mm,
Aries is a very hot sign. And things that flare up really suddenly, like an infection.
mm,
You know, it can be an infected finger. It can be as simple as that.
mm,
But that with Chiron, there's also always a deeper message. What is this really telling me?
yeah.
You know, what are the circumstances around this? Or you get an infection in your lungs or wherever. What is it really trying to teach me and get my attention about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Some immune disorders can just pop up like that too. You know,
yes.
they're not all slow growing chronic illness. They can just arise very quickly.
And they do with Aries. In my experience of Aries people, many of the ones that I've known with strong Aries energy, they don't get sick very often.
Mm,
But if they do, it's sudden and fast, and they move through, they burn through it. And they might be down for a few days, then they're out the other side and off they go
mm.
in general, unless there's other things in the chart that it's not a sign that's so prone to the long chronic conditions usually.
Hmm.
So infections can flare up really suddenly, can't they?
Yeah. So with North Node meeting Chiron, could that have something to do like with karmic patterns? Do you think?
Definitely.
Looking at that, yeah.
Definitely. There might be a karmic pattern in someone's family background around the wounded warrior, you know, fathers, grandfathers who went to war and never spoke about it and kept all that horror inside, but it would then manifest as displaced anger
Mm,
or
mm.
displaced violence even, or fear, or holding oneself back, and
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, things like that. I was listening to a conversation on the radio in the car the other day, and it was on Thursday, the day that it was announced that the sporting bodies and the government in Australia announced there's new protocols put in place for concussion in sports.
Oh, wow.
And I went, how Chiron in Aries is that? They're
Yes.
actually finally facing up to it and starting to take steps to deal with it properly.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought, well, that's amazing. I love that. That's another beautiful Chiron conjunct the North Node. We've got to do something about this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're getting real long-term head injuries and brain injuries that
Mm.
often don't manifest till later in life. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
from a concussion on the footy field. So that's a bit of, what that can present as. But I think it's also about courage, very much about finding our courage and lighting that fire, which I think fits with Mars going through Aquarius as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Now, something interesting happens on the 22nd of February. Venus makes an exact conjunction with Mars at 7 degrees of Aquarius. So in Venus, the feminine principle of love comes together with Mars, the warrior principle of individuation and action. You can get a lot of heat and passion going on when those two join together.
Mm.
You know, Liz Green, the great psychological Jungian astrologer, wrote a book on Venus and Mars, and she called it The Lovers of the Zodiac.
Mm.
The masculine, feminine principle and innes. And for some, that might be a meeting with someone amazing in their life in an Aquarian way. But I think it's really, as the warrior wants to go into battle with that rebellious spirit, Venus can help to sort of soothe those flames a bit. That wonderful old Botticelli painting of Venus and Mars together, after they've made love, and Mars is spent and sprawled on the ground and his armor is everywhere and she's sitting there looking gorgeous and brushing her hair. I love that image of Venus and Mars.
Mm.
She's the only one who can subdue Mars' fiery impulse to fight,
Mm.
right? The love principle. So
Mm.
that's an important one. So then let's talk about Pisces,
Yes.
because that will bring us to the full moon, which will be in Virgo Pisces.
Mm.
So as the sun goes into Pisces on the 19th, and then Mercury goes in on the 23rd of February, we're entering a different vibrational energy to Aquarius. Is all mind and consciousness, abstract ideas, principles, freedom, equality. Yes, we love that. Pisces takes this one step further, and it's more about the spiritual process of surrender, of allowing, of truly going with the flow, of feeling everything, having compassion. We very commonly become much more sensitive when the sun goes through Pisces at this time every year. People often feel more tired. I know I do. I need more time for rest, for quiet.
Bit teary.
Can be teary, feeling a bit vulnerable. We just need a bit more time, to commune with the muse or the soul,
Yes.
and just take time out to sit quietly and listen to beautiful music. And if we've been in some of these kind of big energies of the mind, to take a bit of time out from all of that. Like, I know when I make time to paint, if I have a few days free and I go, okay, I'm going to get into some painting, I enter a completely different zone. I'm not really thinking about any of that worldly stuff.
Mm.
I put music on, and you'll have your thing too, where you're just in another world, actually, which is very Piscean. And it's a break. It's absolutely a break from all that other energy of the world and the mind.
Yes. It's sort of, for me, it always affects me in a way that I just feel a sense of just being and
Yes,
connecting with something greater
yes,
and just being in that place.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's a place that no words can describe, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking while you're talking, I think, well, how would I describe it? I don't think I can.
You really can't. No.
Mm.
it's a felt thing, and it is a sign on the highest expression of it, of transcendence into a realm that's beyond words, beyond mind, beyond description. It is. It's a sign to do with music and the arts and meditation, soul, that kind of thing.
Mm,
Um, but we do tend to get quite tired, which is Pisces' way, if you like, of bringing us to a place of slowing down and becoming a bit more quiet and making time for rest. And it's the last sign of the zodiac.
mm,
And we learn to relinquish a lot of control in this sign, to surrender and allow.
mm.
Yeah.
I'm just
So,
getting the image
yeah.
of this. My son-in-law has a big aquarium in the living room, and sometimes when I go visit my daughter, I'll just sit quietly and just watch the fish
Yeah.
and just get lost.
Yes, become a bit mindless.
Yeah, I think that's more how it affects me like that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And it's that feeling of when you're at the beach and you just sit quietly and gaze out to sea.
Yes.
It's a very Aquarius is a very expansive energy. These two are the last signs of the zodiac, and they're always about together to me, is because they both come after Capricorn, which is the pinnacle of worldly effort and accomplishment and achievement, in that very earthy way. Then we go into Aquarius and we open up to, much higher possibilities of consciousness and mind and thought. And then in Pisces is a whole other place of just completely surrendering and letting go to, well, everything and nothing. How do you even describe it? So
Mm.
they're kind of beyond, they're both signs that are beyond this earthly realm in a way.
Yes. Yeah,
And
definitely.
you'll see that in the charts of people who tend to have a lot of emphasis on those two signs, or the two planets that rule them, Neptune and Aquarius.
Mm, mm,
They're kind of in touch with or in tune with those other realms beyond this kind of earthly life, if you like.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So Aquarius is of the higher mind, and it's old ruler of Saturn, so it has a certain structure on a mental level.
mm,
But in Pisces, there's no structure at all. It's boundless. So that's why we need time out, just like, and people feel like, oh, I just need to lie down and have a sleep. I experience that a lot. I just need to lie down and close my eyes and just disappear, even if it's for 10 minutes, it's
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
know exactly what you mean.
yeah, yeah. And just disappear. So then, and Mercury will go in on the 23rd. And I just want to say something about Mercury. Mercury is our operating mental mind. In Pisces, it can sort of go out to lunch a bit. And people will find themselves going, what was I doing? What was I just saying?
Mm,
Yeah. So that's all okay. That's just if we can kind of allow all that to happen. And that will then bring us to the full moon on the 24th of February, where the sun will be at 5 of Pisces and the full moon will be at 5 of Virgo.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot going on.
A lot. We're riding big waves of
Yeah.
energy.
And every time we do one of these episodes, I feel the energy of what we're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah. It's almost like with Aquarius and Pisces, I feel like it's like the the big sort of stuff. And then Pisces just sort of comes down and it calms down, like,
Yes.
yeah.
The
So
soothing waters.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
um a big sort of explosive things going on and energetically, not particularly physically, but energetically. And then Pisces comes in and just calms the waters.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Water is such an important element to us, isn't it? And we need to drink water. We're soothed by water. And having a bath after a busy, frantic day, there's nothing like it. Just soaking in water, or even a shower will do it to some extent. But getting your body into the
mm,
sea, just incredible. Or you know, if we forget to drink water and suddenly we go, God, I need to drink, and you have a big glass of water and everything feels better.
It's a great conductor of electricity. And what is Aquarius?
Electricity.
Electrical.
Yeah,
Interesting.
very interesting.
Mm. Well, thank you, Babula. That's quite a lot to go away and percolate on, I think.
Yes, it
Mm.
is. It
Mm.
is. Yeah.
Leaving me feeling, that processing sort of. But
Yes.
anyway, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Always fun.
Yes, it is, and I will see you very soon at your astrology course.
You will.
And to everyone who's listened, if you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to subscribe and share and leave your comments. We love to read them. And if you can relate to any of these things that we've been talking about, yeah, please let us know, because it's everyone experiences these things in different ways. So
Mm.
it's nice to know how you're experiencing it too. So until next time, when we come back with full moon in Virgo, my goodness.
Mm.
So until then, stay safe, be well, and we'll see you then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.